Good morning, students. I hope you all are hale and hearty. Dear students, today we will read the third chapter of your book, First Flight. As I have already told you that this chapter has two parts. The first part has already been done, and today I will explain the second part of this chapter, The Black Aeroplane, written by Frederick Forsyth. Frederick Forsyth is an English writer. He is best known for his thrillers. Some of his thrillers are The Day of Jackal, The Dogs of War, and The Cobra, etc. He is also a journalist, a former spy, an occasional political commentator, and a pilot officer. His rank is 5010968. He is the winner of 3 Edgar Awards. The story The Black Aeroplane is a mysterious story. Let me give a small introduction of the lesson. The lesson Black Aeroplane by Frederick Forsyth reflects on how one's judgment gets distorted due to fantasizing and how it creates problem. Distorted means to change something so that it is false or wrong, or no longer means what is intended. Fantasizing means to imagine something that you would like to happen. किसी मनचाही बात की इमेजिनेशन करना कि ऐसा हो जाए. So sometimes our judgment proves false, and it creates problem, as happens in the lesson also. In this chapter, the narrator is a pilot who is so eager to meet his family and have a good breakfast that he takes the wrong decision of facing the storm instead of doing the right thing. Miraculously, he somehow manages to escape with the help of mysterious aeroplane. That mysterious aeroplane is that black aeroplane. So that black aeroplane saves the writer from the storm. Dear students, at the beginning of the lesson, you find the lesson quite simple. You find the story quite simple. But students, when you come at the end of the story, you find it quite mysterious. You will see sometimes how science, reasons, and logic fail to give answer. You will have to think critically whether these mysterious things really exist. You will have to reach the conclusion if an aeroplane can land safely even in odd condition as mentioned in the lesson. These types of mysterious stories leave a matter of debate. You will have to give your own opinion. It leaves so many unanswered questions. So students, you also read this lesson, and after that, at the end of the lesson, you will also have to give your own views. So let us start the lesson. The moon was coming up in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone high up above the sleeping countryside. Countryside means rural area. I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward of being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. So students, the author was flying his old Dakota DS-008 aeroplane over France. He was on his way to England. As mentioned in the passage, the moon and stars, it shows that it was night time. The sky was clear and the stars could be seen twinkling in the sky. The pilot was flying his aeroplane over France to England. He was going to England to meet his family. He was feeling peace because he was flying above a countryside where all the people had fallen asleep. When he watched, when he looked at his watch, it was 1:30. It was 1:30 in the morning, and he was fantasizing about his holiday with his family. He was dreaming to have a good breakfast with his family, and writer was happy, and you can see that weather was also clear. There was no any problem, so everything was good. I should call Paris control soon, I thought. Dear students, see, this story is written in first person. The narrator is writer itself, and he's um, sharing his experience. So as he was flying over France, he thought that he should call Paris control room. As I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane making straight front side, I saw the lights of a big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS008 here. Can you hear me? I am on my way to England. Over. The voice from the radio answered me immediately, at once. DS008, I can hear you. You ought to turn 12 degrees west now. DS008, over. Over indicates that the communication is over. Now you can say whatever you want to say. You can start your communication with me. The pilot thought that he should inform the Paris control room. He saw the lights of a big city in front of him. Then he switched on the radio and he informed about his flight and destination to Paris control room. He was advised by the control room that he should turn 12 degrees west. After that, I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank, and turned the Dakota 12 degrees. Then the writer checked the map and the compass, and after that he followed the instruction. Whatever the instruction was given by the control room, he followed that, and after that he put the last fuel tank and turned his Dakota aeroplane 12 degrees west towards England. Here the compass means an instrument showing the directions. After that, I will be in time for breakfast, I thought. A good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. So the narrator thought that he will be uh, at his destination point at the right time, and everything was going as planned. Everything was, as I already told you, everything was good. Sky was clear, writer was happy, he was fantasizing about his family. He wanted to have breakfast with his family, and he was moving towards England, and he turned his Dakota aeroplane 12 degrees towards west. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the clouds. So the narrator crossed the Paris. He was 150 kilometers away from Paris, and after that he saw the clouds, black clouds. They were huge. Huge means very big. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. I knew I could not fly up and over them, and I did not have enough fuel to fly around them or to the north or south. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. I will take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. So students, when he saw the clouds, in the sky, then you also know that it is unsafe to travel when there are clouds in the sky because there are chances of storm. So the clouds were so huge in dark that the pilot compared them with a black mountain. He knew that he could not pass them or escape from them with the amount of fuel that was left in the last tank. There was very less fuel and he could not cross them. He could not go towards the north or south and take a round, and after that he could not escape them. So he could go back to Paris, it was the solution, but he wanted to meet his family and have the English breakfast. That he ignored those clouds and he took the risk of not going back. Thus, he headed the plane right into the storm, and it was his wrong decision. Inside the clouds, everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. I looked at the compass. I could not believe my eyes. The compass was turning round and round and round. It was dead. Dead means it was not working. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead. They also stopped working. So I tried the radio. Twisted means take curved course, turn hona mulna. So it was so dark because of storm that nothing was visible outside the plane. He started losing control over the aeroplane. The compass and the other instruments stopped working, and because of bad weather they were not working. And then he tried radio. He tried to contact the Paris control room again. Paris control room, Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. He tried to uh, contact Paris control room, but could not connect because of bad weather. The radio was dead too. Radio was also not working. I had no radio, no compass, and could not see where I was. He didn't know where he was. He was lost in the storm. Then the black clouds quite near to me. Then in the black clouds quite near to me, I saw another aeroplane. It had no lights on its wings. Students, here enters the black aeroplane to help the narrator. Narrator is talking about that aeroplane which comes like a ray of hope. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand. Here is another pilot of black airplane. He lifted his one hand and waved, "Follow me." He was saying, "Follow me." He knows that I am lost. I thought he is trying to help me. So students, in the midst of misfortune, in the midst of storm, now when there was no hope, when everything stopped working, every instrument stopped working, he saw a ray of hope, ray of hope. When he saw another aeroplane, he felt relaxed when he saw another aeroplane's pilot's face who was willing to help him. He thought that he was so kind. He knew that the narrator was lost in the storm. He thought that he had come to help him, and the pilot of another aeroplane waved his hand and he said to the narrator that follow him so that he could help him. So the narrator thought that he is trying to help me. He was trying to help the narrator. So he turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota. He here is the pilot of black aeroplane. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north and in front of the Dakota aeroplane, in front of the writer's aeroplane, so that it would be easier for me to follow him. In this way, it was very easy to follow the black aeroplane. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. After half an after half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes more. I was starting to feel frightened, afraid again, but then he started to go down and I followed. So dear students, the another pilot took his plane in front of the Dakota aeroplane to make it easier to follow, while the author followed him like an obedient child. The pilot was also worried about the fuel because there was very less fuel left, and the plane could be flown only for 5 or 10 minutes more. And writer was frightened again. He was scared. He was afraid of. But then he started to go down, and I followed them. Then what happened? He means that black aeroplane's pilot, and that black aeroplane started coming out of the storm. He started to uh, go down. Through the storm, suddenly I came out of the clouds and saw two long straight lines of lights in front of me. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. I turned to look for my friend in the black airplane, but the sky was empty. Empty. There was nothing there. The black airplane was gone. He could see it. He could not see it anywhere. Runway. It is meaning is given a strip of hard ground along with the aircraft takes off and land. So students, when it was only when he had started coming out of the storm and could see the runway to land the plane safely. Soon he came safely out of the plane and he tried to find the mm, another pilot of black aeroplane, but failed because there was no one was there. Nothing could be seen. There are some meanings, you can see them. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. I went and asked the women in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. I landed. The other did not know where he had landed because he was just following the black aeroplane. So the author did not know where he had landed, but he was not afraid of leaving his plane unattended, and he went straight into the control room to ask about the pilot. He did not care about the some formalities which is done at the airport. He left his aeroplane unattended and went straight to the control room there where a woman was sitting, and he asked about the other pilot because he was very surprised because he was following the black airplane, but when he landed there was no airplane. So he asked the women because he wanted to say thank you to the pilot of that black airplane. She means that woman who was sitting in the control room. She looked at me very strangely and then laughed. Another aeroplane up there in this storm? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. What is radar? Radar means a system that uses radio waves for finding the position of moving objects So the woman informed him that there was no any other aeroplane because the atmosphere, the weather was not good, and he said that there was no other plane in the sky except is because of bad weather. He is left astonished, surprised, with a lot of questions unanswered in his mind. He thought that who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio or without any more fuel in my tanks? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without lights? So these are the questions which were moving in his mind, but there was no any answer. So now students, you can see that this situation leaves a number of unanswered questions. What do you think about it? What do you think about this mysterious aeroplane? Was it any illusion? Some says that there was no black aeroplane. It was just an illusion. Some thinks that it was his sixth sense. Some religious people think that it was God who sent that aeroplane to help the pilot. Some thinks about alien. There are many who thinks about the supernatural power. What do you think? Some thinks that there was no black aeroplane, there was just the imagination of the pilot. But the question arises, if it was the imagination, then how could he land safely without a compass or other instruments? And some says that it happens that when our some say that was the latent power. Latent power, it happens when our active sense do not work. So it leaves a matter of debate. Dear students, it is a matter of debate and you will have to give your own opinion. What do you think? Can you give any other alternative ending to this story? So students, I am waiting for your answer. You think about this ending, you think about this black airplane and give your views. You can send your views at my personal number. Thank you. Read the lesson again and try to find out the question answers and try to do the back exercise. Thank you.